Mr. Memani, members of the jury, and all the captains of industry and some of the finest entrepreneurs collected here, I wish you all a very good evening. I would like to start from where the panel ended. The panel ended on a couple of things. One thing which I really marked from the panel was about mindset. And I would like to begin with that and quote one of my favorite quotes from Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji's vision. He always tells us, mind is never a problem. Mindset is. Mind is never a problem. Mindset is. If we change the mindset, we can achieve really big things. If we have a positive, a solution-oriented, a forward-looking mindset, no problem in the world can ever be there in front of us, can remain as a problem. We can solve every problem that we face. So I would like to I took Mr. Memani's permission to take more than 10 minutes, which was there on the schedule. I would like to share what is the India story as we see from within, so that you can also be on the same page as we are seeing. We have a leadership, we have a Prime Minister who is decisive, clear thinker, absolutely forward-looking, very clear in his goals, where he wants the country to be by 2047. He works diligently, he thinks ahead, and he makes us also do exactly the same thing. He is a very tough boss. You achieve up to here, and he'll say, okay, but why can't you do like this? If you do up to this, and then he'll say no. So now we have started looking at the roof. So things are I would like to say that things are in a very, very different orbit today. And the growth that we see today is a very well thought through economic policy making, very focused execution. I would like to spend a few minutes on that so that we all understand what's the thinking within the government. Today's growth story is basically built upon 4 pillars. The framework is a framework of 4 pillars. What are those 4 pillars? The first and foremost pillar is significant, serious, focused investment in physical, digital, and social infrastructure. You have seen our budget for CapEx from the government side in, let's say, a few years back, used to be somewhere like 2.5 lakh crore, 3 lakh crore. In 21 budget, our Prime Minister increased it to 5.5 lakh crore. In 22 budget, he increased it to 7.5 lakh crore. 23 budget, it was further raised up to 10 lakh crore. In the budget which was announced, presented before the Parliament recently, the CapEx day 11 lakh crore. It's not a small number, ladies and gentlemen. We have seen how the country used to even look for a project of 10 crore, people used to run here and there. Today, we have a budget of 11 lakh crore for capital investment, and this investment is going into physical, digital, and social infrastructure. I'll give examples of all the 3. Physical infrastructure, you have seen the growth of highways. You have seen how the port sector has made new strides. You have seen how the electricity transmission network has really got modernized. And you have seen how the railway network has got it is getting totally modernized. I'll give a couple of examples from railway, telecom, and IT, the 3 ministries that Prime Minister has made me responsible for. In the railway industry, we are today investing annually in the order of 2.5 lakh crore. Last year's budget was 2,42,000 crore, and we are in the among the last few days of February, we have already achieved 88% of our capex plan for the fiscal FY 23-24. Few years back, 10 years back, this number used to be just about 20-25,000 crore. Next year's capex plan for railway is 2,52,000 crore. And the way industry and the government and the systems, the way reforms have happened, this looks totally achievable. And the results are in front of us. In the 60 years before 2014, just about 20,000 kilometers of railway network was electrified. In the last 10 years, 40,000 kilometers of railway network has been electrified. And that's like electrifying the network of Germany and Switzerland together. That much has been done in last 10 years. Last year we added 5,200 kilometers of new railway lines. That is like adding one Switzerland to the railway network of India. And this year we are adding one more Switzerland to the railway network of India. And next year's target is to build 6,000 kilometers. So 5,200 kilometers, 5,500 kilometers, 6,000 kilometers. And why that's important? That's important because we are growing at a consistent rate of 6 to 8% real and anywhere from 10 to 14% nominal. To cater to this kind of growth rate, our logistics capacity has to significantly increase. And as Mr. Jindal said, we cannot remain dependent upon imported oil for a very long period. We need to electrify our logistics. We need to move towards self-sufficiency. And railway is 60% less expensive 60% less expensive compared to highway and 90% less polluting compared to highway. So any sane policy maker would like to put more investment in railways, create more capacity in railways so that more and more traffic can be shifted. So today we are carrying about 1,600 million ton. This year we'll be doing about 1,600 million ton. And this number was just about 1,000 million ton 10 years back. So it's 50% increase, 60% increase in the last 10 years. And the way and the systematic way in which the bottlenecks are being removed, identifying them, removing them one by one, by 2030 we would be doing 3,000 million tons. That's the pace at which, that's the target at which we are working in a very, very focused way, very methodical way. In terms of digital infrastructure, you've all seen the rollout of 5G. World's fastest 5G rollout has happened in India. Our Prime Minister launched the 5G program in October 22, and here we are, just about 18-20 months from that time. Already we have 430,000 sites radiating 5G signals, and that is like adding the entire, I won't take the names, 2 large continents, 2 rich continents, adding the entire 5G network of these 2 large continents together, and we are more than that. So that's the pace at which we are working. We have already laid about 9 lakh kilometers of optical fiber cables, and in the coming few years, we would be doing another 7 to 8 lakh kilometers of optical fibers, taking optical fiber to every household, every village in the country. That's the pace at which digital infrastructure is being created. Semiconductor, which was a dream for the country for so many years, decades. Our first chip plant, Prime Minister Modi ji signed the agreement in June 23 during his state visit. September 23, the actual ground breaking ceremony, the construction starts, less than 90 days. And the world has noticed it. We can see at least 3 more announcements in the coming weeks. taking us to a totally new level of smart manufacturing, totally new level of high-end manufacturing. I'll come to the second part of the second pillar of this growth story. The second pillar of the growth story is about manufacturing. We all know that the first 4 decades of our economy, of our independence, when the entrepreneurial energy was so huge, that was all got tied up in a myriad of regulations, hundreds and hundreds of rules, hundreds and hundreds of archaic laws where the entrepreneurial energy was getting killed, it was getting stymied. Then came a period of reforms, but still the manufacturing sector was still tied up in multiple different issues and it could not really come up. We grew up as a services economy, but manufacturing was still a very small part of it. 2015, Prime Minister Modi ji launched Make in India program. And the Make in India program was aimed at making very focused interventions in manufacturing activities and bring results which can really, as Mr. Jindal said, as one of the panelists said, Mr. Kotak said, how can we be really the top in the world, really the best in the world in some of the selected industries. So that's the focus and we have seen the results. 10 years ago, electronics manufacturing was minuscule. Today it is $110 billion. Mobile manufacturing was minuscule. Today, already we are crossing about $50 billion of mobile manufacturing. Our exports of mobile is now touching about 12 or 13 billion US. And in coming few years, we should be looking at 3 times this manufacturing and 3 times this export. We used to import 98% of the mobile phones that were used, and today 99.1% of the mobile phones used in India are actually made in India. So that's the result of focus on manufacturing. I know that there are some experts and some economists who say, don't look at low-end manufacturing, just look at services component of manufacturing. I don't agree with that. I don't think it is this or this. It is basically this and this. So services and manufacturing, low-end manufacturing and high-end manufacturing. Because we have a very large labor pool, we need to generate employment, we need to really focus on creating more and more opportunities for every segment of the population. That's the second pillar, very huge focus on manufacturing. And friends, I can share with you, in Prime Minister Modi ji's third term, it's going to be a serious effort at further big focus on manufacturing, the entire gamut, whether it is consumer items, whether it is defense production, whether it is electronics, whether it is large machinery, whether it is capital goods. Manufacturing is going to take the center stage in Prime Minister Modi ji's third term. I'll come to the third pillar of this growth story. The third pillar is about inclusive growth. We as a country have a hugely diverse population in terms of our culture, our language, our incomes, our different parts of the country are at different stages of development. What we see here in Mumbai may not be true in other parts of the country. So we need to really make sure that every section of the society feels included in this growth story. And that's what our Prime Minister has right from day one focused when he said that Meri Sarkar Garibon ko samarpit hai. When he started his journey at the hem of the country, when he took the responsibility of the country in 2014, he very clearly enunciated it and he executed it. Where would you find an example of inclusive growth where 11 crore people living in rural India get their toilets built in the houses? Many of us would not even imagine a life without a toilet, right? But these were the households which needed this level of sanitation and hygiene, and they got it. Imagine the size of this. This is like the entire population of Japan getting a toilet constructed in their home. That's the magnitude of this. 80 crore people are getting basic food grain every month. That is like the population of Europe and the population of US put together. That's the magnitude of food security which is currently happening. 10 crore people changed their cooking habits from wood-based cooking to gas-based cooking, and that brought such a big empowerment in people's lives, such a big change in our women folks' life, huge, very, very big difference in terms of the quality of life. And that is 10 crore is like, once again, the whole population of Japan. That's the magnitude at which many of these social welfare schemes have been executed, thought through, and systems have been created where the people living absolutely at the bottom of the pyramid are getting opportunities. If there is a good example which can be placed in this forum, I would like to put the example of Swanidhi, how inclusive things can be. Swanidhi is a program where the street vendors, nobody used to think about them till Prime Minister Modi came in power. They today get a loan of 10,000 rupees as the first loan without any collateral, without any guarantees being given. That is Modi ji's guarantee for them that their lives can also improve. And that guarantee is today felt by 60 lakh street vendors. I've interacted personally with so many of them. They get first loan of 10,000 rupees. Once that loan is repaid, they become eligible for 20,000 rupees. That is repaid, they become eligible for 50,000 rupees. Imagine a micro entrepreneur who was getting working capital at 60% annualized rate, getting working capital at 12% or 10% or 9% or 7% annualized rate. Imagine the change that happens. That's the change which is right now happening in the country, across the country, at the bottom of the pyramid. And that's the inclusive growth story which today is being noticed by the world, and the results are in front of us. In the last 10 years, 25 crore people have come out of poverty. 25 crore people have come out of poverty. Gone are the days when the leaders used to just give Garibi Hatao ka nara and there was no real work on the ground. This is the leadership which believes in making a big difference in people's lives and focusing, creating programs around that and actually executing those programs. So that's the third pillar of our growth story, inclusive growth. And the fourth pillar, final pillar, is huge amount of simplification. Huge amount of simplification. We have seen the telecom bill, the telecom sector or sector as modern as telecom was governed by a law of 1885 vintage. Had that been something else vintage, it would have been a very costly thing. But a law of 1885 governing today's telecom sector is something which was unbelievable, unthinkable. Our Prime Minister took that challenge, got a brand new 2023 Telecom Act. Same story has repeated in sector after sector. 1,500 archaic laws have been repealed from the statute book. 40,000 compliances which were identified by a group of the industry, they have either been simplified, digitalized, or permanently removed from the statute book. That process of simplification is visible today. We have a totally new framework for new economy, and that process of simplification is going to continue in Prime Minister Modi ji's third term. My request to all of you is to please carry this message to every possible forum that you interact with. This is a growth story which is thought through, which is clearly focused on making our country a developed nation by 2047. This is the foundation that Prime Minister Modi ji is building for a very robust, sustainable growth story. And if you have to take one final takeaway from whatever I'm saying, please take note. With 95% confidence interval, with 95% confidence interval, you can see 6 to 8% real growth, 10 to 14% nominal growth in at least coming 10 years. 6 to 8% real growth, 10 to 14% nominal growth. So please plan your business plans, please make your strategic plans, please mold your capex plans according to this parameter, because if you don't do it, if you fail to take note of this, you will be missing out from this growth. Thank you very much.